It is engaging, very fruitful discussions. Also, South Africans have also made very, very impressive contributions to the document. We are told by National Treasury that over 700 inputs and interventions were made by South Africans and groupings, individuals, academics, to enhance the document so that as a country we emerge after the discussions and everything else, we emerge with an economic strategy that will ignite the economy in our country and ignite growth in the economy of our country. So whilst we will not dwell much onto that item because it is under discussion, there's good progress that is being made, we can assure you that in due course, Cabinet, through the relevant minister, and you know who the relevant minister is, who has authored this document, will be able to say, how do we move forward? And we believe that we have made quite some strides in relation to crafting something that we can call an economic strategy for our country. The Cabinet yesterday looked at what we have done in relation to the district-based development model. You will remember that this is a model we have been talking about. This past Tuesday, the President officially launched a pilot project of the district-based development model in Lusikisiki, in the OR Tambo district of the Eastern Cape. Cabinet welcomed this launch. As you will know, this model brings together all three spheres of government to collaborate, cooperate, and integrate their work with special reference to service delivery at district level. Now we saw
Jackson Tembo at a post-cabinet briefing. The embattled former NPA prosecutors, Advocate Nomgcobo Jiba and Advocates Lawrence, being fingered for interference in investigations involving senior police officials. Former Hawks investigator Colonel Kobus Rulofse has detailed how the pair frustrated critical investigations into the looting of the Secret Service fund and charges against then crime intelligence boss Richard Mdluli. Rulofse is giving testimony for the third day at the State Capture Commission of Inquiry into the alleged capture of law enforcement agencies. Rulofse has pointed a finger at Mkhwebi as being the main man behind the interference. He says despite overwhelming evidence against Mdluli, Mkhwebi pulled out all the stops.
Reference that development and service delivery in a particular area. I was quite elated. And equally, I think everybody who was there was quite pleased, including the district mayor, the local mayors, because we launched this in Lusikisiki in the municipality called in Rosa Hill. So even the local mayor of that municipality was quite excited. The ministers, there were so many of us who had come there, not only come as spectators, but come to say from our national sphere of government as the various departments or ministers, leading departments, what is the intervention and actual projects we will be rolling out in that area of our Tambo district. So we, of course, also the Premier with his minister, with his MECs, saying, as the province, what is it, what are these projects that they'll be rolling out to this area? And of course, as the President formally launched the model, the President then spoke to all these projects that have been brought together from national, provincial, and local that will focus in that area called OR Tambo. We are quite confident that from here we must then build the structure that will comprise of all these 3 spheres, working of course with COPTA, build a hub there that will take forward all these projects, implementation of these projects that national and provincial spoke to on Tuesday. And again, as we all know, this is just the start. OR Tambo district is just the start. This model, the last time we were here, we said district-based service delivery model. We have changed it for very good reasons, that it's a district-based development model, because it is meant to effect development. It is meant to bring everybody, our communities. That's why the hub, the structure, the Kauleza Forum that we will create there will be consisted of our communities, NGOs, CBOs, business, because we need to crowd business as well and understand from business side what is it that they'll be doing there in terms of their own project, privately funded projects. For now, what we have are our own government-funded projects in the next 5 years. So we'll crowd in government, we'll crowd in business, we'll crowd in labor, so that this development is then participatory. Everybody is part of what will happen there. There are no spectators, we all participate in making OR Tambo the best district that it can be. I'm just dreaming, where will OR Tambo be in 10 years' time? I think it will be a wonderful place. We would have also, in 10 years' time, we'll also have sorted out the Mzimvubu Dam, by the way. We would have sorted that one out as well. The N2, we would have sorted out the N2 in 10. And I'm quite confident that probably Mthatha will be a metro. Probably. No, I'm just, you can go and read the speech of the president. But working together, all of us having joined up government, will then be able to even deal with inefficiencies that from time to time crop up in the system, and also give the necessary capability using provincial and national human resource, to do what the region or the district and the local municipality could not do because they do not have certain skills, engineering, etc. So we're quite excited. That's one thing that we did this week, launched the OR Tambo District Development Model. Also, as we were there, you'll know that the president also launched the Lusikisiki Village Clinic, which is NHI ready. They also took a tour of that clinic. We are seeing now, in our lifetime, steps that are being taken to ensure that all our people, even in the rural areas like Lusikisiki, have access to quality healthcare. So we are quite excited. Also, the president, as you will know, he had a dialogue in the area, OR Tambo, particularly in the Lusikisiki area, where a number of constituencies came in, almost about that dialogue, I think over 1,000 or so people were in attendance, on gender-based violence. Again, the president on the spot said that we must at least established more Tutuzela centers there in OR Tambo, because there are very few. He also said, I didn't know this, that in the entire Eastern Cape province, there is no laboratory for DNA testing. Entire Eastern Cape, as the president said yesterday. On the spot, the president said that we must establish a DNA testing laboratory in the Eastern Cape, so that they don't rely for DNA testing on the Western Cape or KZN. We must have a laboratory there. So that's what we did this week in OR Tambo, and again the cabinet really appreciated work that happened. The second matter that we want to speak to is the fight against gender-based violence. It's a matter that again occupied the cabinet space yesterday. And the statement says that cabinet again joins President Cyril Ramaphosa in his call for all South Africans to work together to stop the violence and the killing of women and children, particularly girl children. As we all know, yesterday in a joint sitting of Parliament, the President tabled emergency measures to combat gender-based violence and ensure enhancement of the implementation of the outcomes of the 2018 Presidential Summit on Gender-Based Violence. As we all know, I'll just touch on a few. The measures that the President announced, amongst others, includes introducing in the school curriculum gender-based violence, so that at a young age, our young boys in particular, if they can't be nurtured at home, they start interacting with this subject matter at school. But also the President spoke to legislative measures that we need to bring to Parliament to curb this phenomenon of gender-based violence. Again, urgent training of everybody involved in this, including police that are involved in this, your prosecutors, your magistrates, the judges. So that is the urgency that the President has put, that in these 6 months of this financial year, we must have done these things, including strengthening our criminal justice system to respond appropriately to gender-based violence. We can do all these things. But if those who are made up like me, men, don't own up and stand up to protect our women, if men don't look at themselves in the mirror and say, not in our name, government and civil society can do everything. But unless men change, I don't know what makes us so much of animals. I don't know what makes us beasts. So we need a change in the manner men relate and look at women. So even the men's organizations that are in the country should start looking into this issue. What do we do with men? What do we do to change this very disturbing actions of men raping, abusing, and killing women? What should we do with an focus and emphasis on men in particular, who are basically the perpetrators. And the president was correct yesterday when he said, if we don't rise up and deal with this issue, definitely our country will be going down the drain. We therefore must just deal with this issue. I had the privilege of meeting this young lady in the Eastern Cape during these activities that we were speaking to. In fact, it was during the dialogue on gender-based violence in Lusikisiki. She is from that area, Zuko, who was raped by her father from the age of 7 until she was 13. What type of men do these things? I think we have our work cut out as men to stop this. We have our work cut out to go everywhere and speak to other men, wherever they are, in shebeens, in the workplaces, to stop this violation of women's rights in our country. Of course, this initiative and emergency measures that the president spoke to last night or yesterday will be undertaken by the Gender-Based Steering Committee, which will be located in the presidency, comprising not only government, but also civil society structures, to see implementation of everything that the president spoke to yesterday. So we must have a structure that will be seized with implementation. You will also remember that is that structure that was also created by the summit in 2018. We are also pleased that the president also announced that resources will be made available to ensure that all these measures are implemented. We as Cabinet also call on all communities to continue playing their part in mentoring and nurturing boy children to have empathy and respect for women and girls. Somebody, a friend of mine that I met at the WEF from another country, I won't say which country it is, he said, you guys, you have got such beautiful women. I thought you'll be fighting amongst yourselves over these women. But you kill them. You. We hope these measures, and all of us, and of course, as we talk about this, also yesterday morning, early in the morning at 7:30, the president met with all leaders of parties represented in parliament. All of them, without exception, were there. And all of them agreed that this must stop. All of us must bring an end to the abuse, the rape, and the killing of our women. So we are happy that even in the debate yesterday, there was agreement by all parties. Of course, there'll be emphasis there and there, but all parties agree that we must just stop violence against our women. We must. The third issue that the Cabinet also discussed, you'll forgive me about emotions that pour in. as we talk about women. Because many of us also have daughters. As we talk about killing of women and other young girls and women, it touches a raw nerve to some of us, because we're just human. We are fathers. I just hope that we'll be able to go out there to other men who I agree with Deputy Chief Justice Zondo that of course they might be in a minority, but they still do a lot of harm to us as men. So we must go out there and do whatever we can and stop this violence and killings of our women. The third item that we looked at was the violent attacks on foreign nationals and fellow South Africans, which has reared again its ugly head in our country. Cabinet again condemned the public violence and lawlessness that accompanied any real or imagined grievances of our people. We remain a constitutional democracy governed by the rule of law. Whilst Cabinet might have an understanding of the socio-economic challenges faced by our communities in the country, it nevertheless emphasized that intolerance and violence towards foreign nationals and other South Africans should not and will not be tolerated. You know, we welcome everybody in this country, particularly everybody who enters the country legally, and everybody who, after entering the country as a foreign national, also abide by the laws of our country. All those are very welcome. Equally, we remain a country united in our diversity, and any form of animosity aimed at our fellow African brothers and sisters will definitely not be tolerated. And to this extent, we would like to thank our policemen and women who have arrested quite a lot of people, who have brought disgrace to the name of our country. Cabinet is determined to decisively address the underlying causes that normally lead to attacks on foreign nationals and also fellow South Africans. We also, in the same vein, will deal decisively with illegal activities such as drug peddling, illicit trading, looting of people's shops, as well as destruction of property and corruption without any fear or favor, immaterial whether the perpetrator or whether such criminality is perpetrated by a South African or a foreign national. So as far as the perpetration of criminality is concerned, we say our law must take its course, immaterial who's involved, whether those that are involved are South Africans or whether those that are involved are foreign nationals. Cabinet has also condemned the exploitation of foreign nationals by some companies, as we will know. Because they are vulnerable, they then get exploited and paid all sorts of slave wages by some companies. We therefore call on all communities to actively work with all our community structures, including the CPFs and our South African Police Service, to address this violence against foreign nationals and against fellow South Africans. also to report any crime and illegal activities to our police service. We are also happy that the Border Management Agency bill that is before the National Council of Provinces will be concluded soon. As everybody has said, one of the contributing factors to people entering our borders without the necessary permits is that our borders are porous. So we believe that the Border Management Agency will go a long way in averting entry by illegals into our country. The President has, as we all know, in addition to all these measures, dispatched a team of special envoys to several African countries to reassure fellow Africans that our country is committed to the ideals of Pan-African unity and solidarity, including South Africa's commitment to the rule of law and protection of the human rights of all within our borders. The President has also, as we heard yesterday, appointed an eminent team of fact-finding commission consisting of the former President of Tanzania, Mr. Kikwete, and the former President of Mozambique, Mr. Chisano. They will interact with various groupings within our country with the view of establishing the facts surrounding the violent attacks against foreign nationals and locals. And of course, as we have heard, these attacks have also been referred to as xenophobia and or Afrophobia. The findings of this commission will be shared with the African Union and, importantly, will assist us as a country in dealing with this recurrence of violent attacks on both foreign nationals and our own citizens. The fourth item that we are speaking to is attack on councillors' houses. Cabinet condemns in the strongest terms the burning down of the houses belonging to the city of Matlosana councillors in the province of the Northwest. Again, we want to repeat that there is no place of such behavior in our young democracy. Cabinet calls on the South African Police Service to do what it takes to arrest the perpetrators of this heinous crime. That the law-abiding citizens of Matlosana work with the law enforcement agencies to assist in apprehending the perpetrators. As South Africans, let us take a stand in condemning lawlessness in our respective communities. Our democracy has legislative systems in place for anyone to elect or remove any public representative without resorting to violence. We therefore need to rise to protect our hard-earned democracy. Cabinet appeals to the public to take a stand against such criminality and to come forward with any information that will assist law enforcement authorities with their investigations. South Africa is a democracy, and perpetrators of violence in whatever form, again, under whatever justification, these perpetrators must own up to their consequences or to the consequences of their actions by facing the full might of the law. Cabinet also took some decisions. The first decision that Cabinet took, it approved the release of the 25-year review report of South Africa. I know that many of us have been referring to this report even long before it was published. It will now be published. It assesses our achievements and non-achievements and challenges from 1994 to 2019. The 25-year review, of course, without going into the details, it acknowledges strides that we have made in the country, particularly around social protection, social security. But it also, at the same time, acknowledges that we have serious structural economic challenges that have made our economy not to grow, and therefore, as a consequence, many of our young people are unemployed. So we hope that after President Cyril Ramaphosa has launched this 25-year review report, which will be very soon, in due course, in the very same month we are in September, we hope that all of us will read this report with an aim of contributing meaningfully to how best do we change the fault lines that have continued to be with us for many, many years. But also, we will read this report to consolidate the wonderful achievements we have made in the areas of social protection. The other decision that the Cabinet took was the approval of the South African 2019 Sustainable Development Goals Country Report to the United Nations. As we all know, we need to deposit our report on how are we doing as it relates to the Sustainable Development Goals in our country. We will deposit that report at the SDG Summit during the 74th United Nations General Assembly session starting next week in America. So we will deposit our report there because we need to report to the United Nations to what extent are we taking heed of these 17 Sustainable Development Goals as instructed by the United Nations. Our report speaks to how far have we gone in implementing the SDGs. Of course, we all know that we have not only implemented the SDGs, but we also have an NDP. We have even domesticated the SDGs into our own National Development Plan. After we have deposited the country report on the SDGs, the United Nations will then make available the report and also other countries' reports through their website. The other decision that Cabinet took was the approval of the South Africa's fourth national report on the implementation of the Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety. The report will be, after this approval, will be submitted to the Secretariat of the Convention on Biological Diversity by the 1st of October 2019. The Cartagena Protocol governs the movement of living modified organisms, also known as genetically modified organisms, GMOs, within and without the country and other countries. South Africa is fully compliant with the provisions of the Cartagena Protocols. The country's biosafety regulatory framework regulates the inbound or outbound GMO products. South Africa also contributes towards the training for all users of GMOs in the country and neighboring countries. So at least we have that report that will also table with the relevant international structure. The fourth item that Cabinet also took a decision on, Cabinet has approved the revised Sanitary Dignity Implementation Framework. The implementation of this framework gives effect to the constitutional right to dignity and a right to life to women and girls from indigent families. The Sanitary Dignity Implementation Framework guides on the procurement of sanitary products, the distribution mechanism of sanitary towels, sanitary waste disposal, and the institutional framework to oversee the distribution. It also provides for the training and health management for the beneficiaries of the sanitary products. Through the National Treasury process, budget has been allocated for this financial year and the outer years. The zero rating of sanitary products, as we also all know, also came into effect on the 1st of April 2019. The other decisions or support that Cabinet gave to is the trade agreement soon to be finalized between South Africa, the UK, and other SADC countries. Cabinet received a report on the outcome of the negotiations with the UK on an agreement which you already know now. Minister Patel did speak to this item, to regulate trade in the event of the United Kingdom leaving the European Union, what is normally known as Brexit. The UK is South Africa's fourth largest trading relationship or partner, with 142 billion in bilateral trade between the two countries last year. Cabinet noted that the proposed agreement replicated the terms that currently apply to bilateral trade set out in the European Union's Economic Partnership Agreement, EPA, with 6 SADC countries. It will be in the form of a new economic partnership agreement between the UK, South Africa, Namibia, Botswana, Lesotho, Eswatini, and Mozambique. It will come into effect in the event that the UK leaves the EU without an adequate withdrawal agreement. Following consideration of the report, Cabinet approved the new economic partnership. The new economic partnership agreement will preserve the preferential tariff regime, quotas, health and safety standards, and other key terms, and ensure that South Africa's trade with the UK continues without disruption. This will indeed protect South Africa's national interest. Cabinet approved the proposed agreement, and that once all the parties have signed the agreement, it be submitted to Parliament for ratification. You will also find that we also took a decision approving the South African meat companies' coin designs for the 2020 commemorative collector's coin series. I will not read too much on that, you can read on your own, but there are 2 coins that will be made available, a 2 rands Kruger rand coin and a 25 rands coin in fine silver. You will read this on your own. I'm not a specialty on coins. On upcoming events, this month we are celebrating Transport Month, and Cabinet has approved the plans that the Minister and the Department has put towards action or plan of action and 365-day campaign under the theme Together, let's keep the service delivery momentum going and grow the economy. As we all know, the safety of our roads warrants a 365 days conversation and continuous conscientization of all road users, both drivers and pedestrians. There's big terminology here. The campaign will also highlight government interventions to improve the country's transport system, the planned infrastructure, investments, and the responsibility of the public to protect public infrastructure. So indeed, the plan by the National Department for the October month, Transport Month, has been approved by Cabinet. Under condolences, Cabinet sent its condolences to our family, to the family and friends of our Deputy Minister, Ms. Bavelile Hloma, who tragically lost her life in a motor vehicle accident, as well as to the families of the 4 people who died on the scene while attempting to assist other passengers that were involved in an accident. Cabinet also passes its condolences to the people of Zimbabwe at the loss of their former president, Robert Gabriel Mugabe. Under President Mugabe's leadership, Zimbabwe sustained and were part of the valiant struggle against colonialism, inspired, and again this struggle against colonialism of the Zimbabweans inspired our own struggle against apartheid and gave us the hope that South Africa too would be free. Cabinet has also expressed its condolences to the family, friends of our former Springbok icon Chester Williams, who earned national and international acclaim with his contribution to South Africa's triumph in the historic 1995 Rugby World Cup. His exploits on the field of play gave flight to the aspirations and dreams of generations of young people. President Cyril Ramaphosa honored the late rugby hero with a declaration of a special provincial official funeral. Again, Cabinet has passed and expressed its condolences to the family and friends of the late former Robben Island prisoner and Western Cape veteran Vincent Diba. Again, also President Ramaphosa declared a special provincial funeral for our veteran. Again, Cabinet has expressed its condolences to the friends and family of anti-apartheid activist Adelaine Hayne, mother of senior British politician Lord Hayne, who passed away at the age of 92. Mama Adelaide Hayne made her mark in defying apartheid and assisting oppressed communities, a commitment which saw the apartheid state banning her and later her husband, Walter, before forcing them into exile in the United Kingdom. We all join as Cabinet, all South Africans and the people of the continent in congratulating the Ndlovu Youth Choir for having reached the finals on America's Got Talent competition. I thought they were going to win, but even without winning, the mere fact that they remained top of the class in that competition means a lot for us as South Africans and for us as a continent. The choir has been doing the nation and continent proud throughout this competition. The second congratulations from Cabinet goes to Uratilwe A.J. Hlongwane, better known as DJ Ark Jr., who won South Africa's Got Talent in 2015 when he was only 3 years old. The Guinness World Records officially named him as the world's youngest DJ in 2017. He has been invited to perform in several countries and is holding the South African flag high with his amazing performance in the show Britain's Got Talent, the champions. We wish him everything of the best. Colleagues, thank you very much. And again, sorry for my disturbance earlier.
Thank you very much, Minister. Thank you. Thank you. At this point, we will take questions of clarification. Hatfield, are you there?
Thank you very much, DG. We have a question on the side.
Yes.
Will you introduce yourself?
It's Terence Cream of Engineering News here. It was indicated on Friday about the Mineral and Resources Energy Minister, Gwede Mantashe, that it was urgent for Cabinet to consider the Integrated Resource Plan, and he expressed his hope that it would be considered this week and approved, given that the draft was published in August last year and that we face supply shortages. Can you give us indication as to why the RP was not discussed and when it is going to be discussed? Thank you.
Thank you.
That was the only question from this side, DG.
Thank
Back
you.
to you.
Thank you. Right. Paul, I'll start with you. You nearly put it in my mouth.
Good afternoon, Minister. Paul Bekiota from Bloomberg. Dovetailing on that question as well. Minister Pravin Gordhan was supposed to have presented to Cabinet and the Presidency an Eskom paper on the future of Eskom and so on. Has that been presented yet? If not, why not? If so, when can we expect release? And then on the economic paper by the Finance Minister and the responses and discussions, can you give us just some idea of the way forward? Does that, once Cabinet's decided on it, does that become, is that open for more public discussion, or does Cabinet just endorse it as the economic strategy for the country? Thank you.
I think then, yes. Then Linda, you.
Minister Anula Mamaka, SABC, in that, linking up to that economic document, I was thinking if maybe in your discussion, did you include anything about the SABC, its financial status, and getting a government guarantee?
We're firing a first terraces. So that's economic.
Secondly, Minister, you said that the previous cabinet meeting was cancelled or postponed due to various other important matters, including the address by the President. I was just wondering, Minister, how was his feeling when the SABC was airing that message about what happened with the SABC? Just his feeling, how did he feel, or how is his feeling now about that incident?
You should have asked me how I felt.
Is it truly stopping the SABC pay this month?
Okay, Linda.
Thanks, Minister. Linda Hens for Business Day. Getting back to the Treasury document, one of the criticisms that emerged on its release was government comes up with all these plans and there's not enough implementation. Was the question of implementation raised during the cabinet meeting as an issue? Thanks.
Okay, then it's you.
Just on a lighter note, Mr. Minister, I see you didn't mention the upcoming Rugby World Cup Springbok match. Is there any score predictions coming from Cabinet?
Hi, Minister Babalo here at EWN. Why did you hold a special cabinet meeting to discuss that special document by Minister Mboweni after a month after he had released it, unexpectedly, about 4 weeks after his release?
Yes.
Louise Umanji from Fit24. I just wanted to check if perhaps the postponement of the mini budget had come up at Cabinet, and if any reasons were given. The moving of the mini budget to the 30th of October, if that came up in the meeting.
Yes, that's you.
Prime Minister Jan Lange from Report. I was given a document, an alternative to the economic strategy published by the Treasury, that was commissioned, I believe, by the Department of Trade and Industry sometime in the course of last year, and delivered to DTI in August. It was compiled by an economic research company called ADRS. Oscar Adolzadeh. I was told that this is distributed within COSATU and the SACP as an alternative proposal. Is this also discussed by Cabinet? Is this also a part of the submissions that was given to you? What is the status of that? In response, in follow-up to Paul Vishalka's question, what are you going to achieve by this process? Are you going to publish a white paper on economic strategy and follow that? Is this becoming official government policy, or what's going to be the fruit of this process?
Yes, yeah.
Hi, Minister Bulelani, SABC. Just on the two special envoys of the President that will be investigating the violent protests, what's the time frame of their work, and what is the cost of them doing the work? And lastly, the President in his address to the joint sitting yesterday did mention 4 points that actually analyze the issue. And if you want to, I can give them to you. But I mean, what more will these special envoys do that we don't know? And why would we need people from outside to diagnose what's happening in South Africa? Thank you.
Okay, Minister, I think that's what we have on your plate.
Why why do you need people from outside to investigate what has happened in our country as it relates to violence against foreign nationals in particular and South Africans? We would like to be transparent on us dealing with this issue, and where we are blindsided as a country because we are in here, we would like other people to open our eyes. Indeed, what the President spoke to is what we might also speak to. What are these factors that cause violent attacks on foreign nationals? Among others, we know what the President said. But this might be our thinking. So we want independent people to affirm if what we are saying is correct, first of all. And are there any other additional causes of this violence that we might not be aware of? But you will know that our transparency will also make it possible for these eminent persons to even speak to the people, our brothers and sisters from foreign countries, from other countries in this, who were subjected to this type of violence, so that from their own angle they can say, we think these are the causes and we think this is how these causes should be dealt with. So in our view, this violence, particularly against foreign nationals, has not only affected us as a country, it has also affected how we relate to other countries in the region. And again, we, as South Africa, we must be seen to be honest in dealing with this matter and not trying to hide anything. So we believe that this transparency will again make everybody who also wants to speak to this issue to even approach that committee or commission of eminent persons to put their story. Because if you were to put a team only consisting of South Africans, would those who have been subjected to this violence, who come from other countries outside of our borders, be trustful of the team? That's one issue that we must think about. but also we will like people who will think outside of the box, even outside of our own prejudices. Our own prejudices. If you only make yourself to investigate, you might want to investigate towards what already you think are the causes. But if you have other people, they can assist to even open your eyes to something that you might not have been aware of. So we are quite confident. Of course, also these leaders, they are leaders in their own right. These are former presidents. We believe they can also interact with our own AU leadership on this issue if there are needs that necessitate them to interact with the AU leadership on this issue, as we say in our statement. So we don't think that it follows that because we think we know what are the underlying causes, therefore there's no need for investigation. People have died. In fact, in this last trench of violence, we have had from reports that 10 people have died, and 2 of those are of foreign nationals, and 8 are South Africans. Of course, there are also other figures that have said that the figure has since gone to 12. 2 are South Africans and 10 are South Africans and 2 are foreign nationals. So you as a country that respects human rights, as a country that respects even its own constitution, when you have had people dying, you have a duty as a country to investigate. But it's so much better that you are not only giving yourself the latitude to investigate, because indeed other people might say that you want to hide certain things. But you bring well-known leaders of Africa to assist you to deal with these issues. Economic strategy, alternative economic strategy, well, you will know that I'm not part of the National Treasury. So I will know. I know that they received, like we said, over 700 inputs. Now, when we are done with this crafting of an economic strategy, I believe that the relevant ministers will then speak. If the strategy, for instance, needs a change in our laws, we will do so. If the strategy says, probably amongst other things, we need to deal with serious inhibitors to growth, and it says to us how we must deal with, I think we will do so. But I think it is still too early to say what will be the outcome, because at the moment we have had a discussion document that was made public by our Minister of Finance, and indeed he had made through Treasury a number of suggestions on how we do things differently in our country to ignite economic growth. So a lot of people have responded. Cabinet is now discussing it. It will be up to Cabinet on how do we take the process forward. At this point in time, we are not there. Cabinet is at a discussion stage. Now, I can't say what Cabinet decision ultimately will be after having engaged with not only the document, but also other interventions that have been made by people of South Africa to this document. So I will know what ultimately the end results will be, informed by inputs and also discussions at Cabinet. We will leave that to Cabinet. The mini budget, is that the medium-term budget statement? Well, it did not come before Cabinet, but you will know that the program of Parliament is a responsibility of Parliament in consultation, of course, with Cabinet. I was not aware that it has been changed to the 30th, but be that as it may, to us is not a train smash. It is still within the period in which the Minister of Finance is expected to make a medium-term budget statement. So it's not so much of a difficulty to us. Babalo, why a need for a special cabinet to discuss this matter? We did in previous cabinets say that when we discuss this matter, we need ample time. We need ample time. It must not be a normal cabinet. By the way, a normal cabinet has many items on the agenda. A special cabinet has one item because of the importance of the item. In this instance, the special cabinet dealt with the important item called Towards an Economic Strategy, and the document that the Minister of Finance has put in the public domain. So we do have special cabinets. This is not the first one. We always do when there are special matters that need special attention of cabinet. I hope I don't see my other handwriting, but I hope that was the question we had asked.
No, my question, yes, no, that's fine, but my question was really why it took so long for you to hold a special cabinet after the document was released?
No, because we wanted people of our country, organizations, academics, universities to make their input, including departments, by the way, including departments in government, departments in the provinces, our premiers, everybody. We needed everybody to make their inputs to the document that was out there in the public domain. So we could not have rushed. So we therefore needed to give ample time for people to make inputs. But after they had made input, National Treasury needed to consolidate those inputs as well, so that also as the document comes before Cabinet, the inputs that have been made by the people of South Africa are also highlighted by Treasury. So we don't think that it took long, if you consider the nature of the process that we have undertaken. It did not. My apologies. We should have included REBI, our Springboks. I think our difficulty maybe is that in our last statement, we did wish our Springboks well. In the last cabinet statement, we did do so. We did wish our Springboks well. Maybe that's how it escaped us. But that cabinet sentiment of wishing the Springboks well is still there. We still wish, we hope that they will bring the cup home, the REBI World Cup to our shores, as they did. In fact, it will be a wonderful send-off for Chester Williams. Wonderful send-off. We hope that they bring it home. So I now understand why we did not include it, because we had it in the last statement. You can go and check our statement. SABC, you must not throw in things through the window. You were not for discussion, SABC. What we're discussing is economic strategy. So you did not come in for discussion. When Cabinet discusses you, rest assured we will come here and say what the decision of Cabinet is. At the moment, you have not been part of the discussions of Cabinet. The blunder, I don't know what to call it. I felt very bad, because I was waiting patiently to hear my president speak to the nation on very important matters. killing of women by men in our country, and attacks on foreign nationals and fellow South Africans by some in our country. And what does SABC do? Or some people in the SABC, they make a joke out of it. Yes, that's how we sounded like. That's when I saw that thing, I said, "Yo, my dear God, what has happened here?" Even if you wanted to deal with us as a government or the president, why decide on that important issues? I felt that you could have done this some other time, not at the time. You know, it's not only me, by the way, it's everybody. I rushed and went to another station, television station. I went to one, then went to the other. All of them were having the right footage. And we knew that the only people we had used was SABC. Now, how can SABC give everybody else the right footage and they use a wrong footage? We were hurt. We were very hurt. That you could have chosen any other time. And again, we are happy, that's what we said. When you said you'll investigate, when you said you'll go to the bottom of what happened, we were happy, and we are happy that you are doing so. We are happy that you are ensuring that there are consequences. There are consequences. You know, it's so bad when, you know, something of this nature happens to our own public broadcaster. And you throw your own government under the bus. No, it was not under the bus, it was under the train. Under the train. At a time when we relied on you to get all of South Africa, through the president, to focus on what was happening in the country. I don't know whether you have been privy to the WhatsApp messages and to the Twitter comments that accompanied what happened in this plan of the SABC. But I think that is in the past now. I think all of us as a country are now facing up to the reality that we must stop violence against women. We must stop killing of women. We must stop killing of our girls. We must, as a country. We must stop this violence that erupts from time to time and results in the looting of shops belonging to foreign nationals, results in the looting of shops belonging to South Africans, results in the killing of fellow South Africans, results in the killing of our own brothers and sisters from the continent. And I agree with those that say that that is Afrophobia. So you did throw us under the bus, but we are happy that you are dealing with it. You have manned up, you are up to the task, and we appreciate that, yes, you have also appreciated the difficulty of what happened and the displeasure of what happened, and we are dealing with it appropriately. And that's what we'll expect from a public broadcaster. Let's hope it doesn't happen again. I hope now maybe let's then have a question to you. Will it happen again as SABC? I hope it doesn't. I've answered on your behalf. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't happen again. We are all human beings, by the way. That's the other issue. We all make at times very stupid mistakes. At times make these mistakes having planned to make them, but at times make them because we're just human beings, prone to doing things wrong. But I was hurt, we were hurt, we were taken aback. We had never seen anything like that. I don't know how long I've been in the media fraternity, boom. I've been quite in this space for quite some time. I had never seen something like this, never. But again, the timing of this mistake was terrible. In business day, you are saying implementation, yes. Whatever we did, the outcome of the discussions by cabinet on this document that is meant to craft an economic strategy for our country, amongst other things that I think the president has spoken to, is that even with the best of policies, where our biggest difficulty lies is in implementation. Therefore, there is no way that cabinet can conclude this document and finalize this document on what will be the measures that will take to ignite the growth of our economy without also focusing on implementation. We agree with you. We must focus on implementation, implementation, and implementation. I think I've answered, IRP. Yes, it has come before cabinet, it is still before cabinet. It is still before cabinet, not concluded. We can assure you that yes, there are discussions. It's quite an important document. It cannot just come and be discussed within a whiff and it is out. So it is still before cabinet. We had a discussion on it today, but we have not concluded the discussions on the IRP resource plan.
Do you expect that to be completed soon? Or
Yes, definitely. We expect it to be completed soon. Now, I won't say what are the timelines, but soon. Because it is already before cabinet. ESCOM paper, yes, we have not had it yet, but that is one paper that is coming soon too. I don't have the timelines of when it will be coming, but of course, I said the other time that there is no way that you can also conclude the economic strategy framework without also looking at the ESCOM paper. So it will be coming, it will be part of the broader package of how do we grow the economy, how do we manage our resources, including financial resources in our country. We hope that the paper will be coming soon.
Thank you, Minister. I thought that you've given them quite detailed responses, but I still see some other hands. If your time permits, Minister, can I take the other hands?
We are here.
Okay. All right.
In the performance agreement that I'm going to sign with the president, one of the issues is that I must interact with him.
And then Leilani, and then Linda, and then okay, that order.
Thanks, Minister, for indulging us. Appreciate it. Minister, if you can just take your the cabinet hat off for a moment, and leave the hat on as a senior, as the minister representing GCIS and official government communications. What's happened over the past couple of months is, and there has been calls from various sectors and from the ANC as well, the notion of I think the ANC termed it once as a media tribunal. There's been certain allegations being made against certain journalists and stuff like that. You've been in the media for a very long time. Are you supportive of the idea of having a media sort of TRC is another type of term, or I don't know, tribunal or whatever? Are you supportive of that idea as as minister in charge of official government communications? And if yes or no, if you could please just give us, with the same candor as you approach the SABC story and frankness, you give us a sense of what you're thinking. Thank you, Minister.
Linda.
Yes, Minister, there were indications last week that the consolidation of the 3 airlines would be before Cabinet. Was that discussed? Thank you.
And I think there was a Yakulela.
Who told you that, Linda? But let's leave it for now.
The commissioning of the eminent person, is there a time frame that has been put to their work? And do you have a costing, if at all? And the second question, the discussions between the Minister of Transport and the Minister of Finance around the e-tolls issue, has it come back to Cabinet after they were asked to put their heads together and come up with a plan going forward? Thanks.
Yeah.
That's it.
No, that's the last one.
Oh.
Andy.
Yes.
Can you give us more on this sanitary dignity implementation framework? I see that you say its Cabinet has approved a revised framework. What is it saying compared to what it was saying before? And on the SABC issue, the blooper, so did you complain as the government, or did the SABC voluntarily commission an investigation? And also Pumla, sorry to put her on the spot, but she's been acting for like forever. When is the position going? When is she going to be permanent in the job?
Hey, when a short steward for me.
You should get a bonus. A bonus question.
Well, you will know that I think the shareholder would have raised the matter, because the person who's representing the shareholder in interaction with the SABC will be Minister Stella Ndabeni-Abrahams. So I would think that she would have raised it with the board. So I'm just taking it for granted that she would have raised it. There is no any formal communication that she put before any of us or Cabinet that she has raised the issue. But I will just take it that she did raise it. The details on the sanitary towels, can we request that we call the relevant department so that they are able to give us the nuts and bolts of the framework, of the new framework? I think that will assist all of us. The President, on the timelines for this investigation on violence against foreigners and our own nationals, at the moment the President still has got to meet and sit down with the eminent persons and also obviously also give them the necessary terms of reference. So all those things still have to happen. It's all those things that will determine what are the timelines, and again, what will be the budget linked to this investigation. At the moment, we don't have such detail, but we think that the President, working together with the eminent persons, former President Kikwete and former President Chisano, will meet very soon and craft all the necessary instruments that are necessary for them to start their work, which will answer this question. Linda, the question of our airlines, yes, has come for discussion, but it is still before Cabinet. We have not concluded that discussion. Cabinet is looking at various options. So it's only when that discussion is concluded, I won't even come, the relevant minister will come to speak on that issue. Yes, but we can confirm that yes, last week the cabinet committee and cabinet did reflect on suggestions, but at the moment it's work in progress. We are hopeful that very soon the relevant minister will be able to face the nation and speak to this issue. Any other? Oh, now, this is not a cabinet matter. When I go out of this room, you can follow me. Then I can give you my view. But you see, my colleagues who are listening, all of a sudden then I come with my view in a cabinet post-briefing. I will also say, table. That is not your post-briefing, it's a cabinet, post-cabinet briefing. So you can't be coming there and putting your own views on the media tribunal. If you want to put your own views, go out of the post-cabinet briefing, then you can speak as Jackson Mthembu, a member of the ANC in good standing. We are dealing with cabinet.
I know, but President is on a cabinet.
No. The President has a spokesperson. There is a presidential spokesperson. If there are certain things that you did not understand in the speech, there is a beautiful lady, her name is Kusela Diko. If you don't have her cell number, I think Pumla can assist you.
Thank you.
Colleagues, thank you very much.
DG, we have a follow-up question this side.
Okay, no, let's take it. Okay,
it's Terence Cream again. I just wanted to check on the package. You mentioned that the ESCOM paper would be part of the package for the economic strategy. Does the same apply for the RRP, or is that discussion treated as a separate and unique document? Thank you.
No. What I said is that we are discussing as we speak now. I think cabinet might be still in. We are discussing the economic paper now. The ESCOM paper has not come before cabinet. But the ESCOM paper has serious impact on the economy too. So that's what I'm saying. They are a package in that sense, that you cannot look at the economic paper without also considering what the ESCOM paper is bringing to cabinet. But it will come on its own. Similarly as the airlines paper came on its own. But all these things must be read together. They have an impact on our finances, they have an impact on our economy, and they have an impact on what we can do and what we can't do. Therefore, they must be read together as a package. We can't put them in different pigeons, no. They must be read together for us to craft a way forward on how do we deal with all these financial and economic challenges facing our country. In that sense, you are right, but they will not be discussed together. They'll be discussed individually. But there's a linkage between all of them. And do you have another question?
No, thank you very much, Minister. It's not cabinet, Minister.
That matter didn't arise in cabinet. But no, to be honest, we are transparent. Sis Pumla will know that we have advertised that post, we have shortlisted, so interviews are about to begin. Thank you very much.
Does cabinet have a WhatsApp group?
Well, if they have, I am not part of that WhatsApp group. If I'm not aware of a cabinet having a WhatsApp group.
You'll be admin.
Eh?